Morning, guys. We're here to read chapter 10 and 11. There's only 2 chapters left in the book, and we're going to see what happens. Let's go. It was early Friday morning. Streaks of light showed up in the eastern sky over the town dump. The noisy engine of Henry Bigg's gas model airplane broke the silence. Cousin Darrell was flying back and forth over the place where Della landed the glider. So remember, they're going to try to pick up the glider on the ground with the gas airplane. Cousin Darrell was flying back and forth over the place where Della had landed the glider. That was some time ago. The tiny pilot was worried. He hoped Della was all right. He wondered if his directions to Trash City were correct. Was something changed so that she couldn't find the place? Why didn't she show up with the others? How much longer could the plane's supply of gasoline last? For the 15th time, Cousin Darrell dived down toward the parked glider. The fishhook anchor trailed up behind and below the plane. He was practicing for the time he would lift the glider off the ground. As Cousin Darrell practiced, he was careful not to catch the hook onto the pickup device he had built onto the glider. He came closer and closer each time. Finally, he was satisfied that he knew just how to do it. Now, if only they would come. Cousin Darrell glanced at the blue and white glider below. He smiled to himself. Della had made a perfect landing on an old ironing board. Then she turned the craft around so that it faced the long runway of the ironing board. Everything worked just as they had planned. There was a movement in the trash below. I wonder who it is. So, here's a picture of our friends on the ground. That's the glider. And Cousin Darrell's going to come down with the gas airplane and pick it up with the hook and bring it down the ironing board and help it take off. Cousin Darrell flew the plane in low for a closer look. A cat! A huge yellow cat was prowling around the piles of trash. Its face was crisscrossed with scars. Spots of fur were missing from its coat. It liked to fight other cats. The plane roared overhead. The cat spun around watching it closely. Cousin Darrell thought it was the meanest looking animal he had ever seen. Now suddenly there were the tiny people. They were a short distance from the cat. Della was leading the group. When she saw the airplane, she waved. And here's a picture of that serious cat. She doesn't see the cat, thought Cousin Darrell. He pointed toward the danger, but Della didn't seem to understand. Darrell banked the plane steeply. He roared in over the cat's head. The animal leaped at the plane, trying to bat it down. Cousin Darrell saw that his friends were running toward the glider. At last, they saw the danger. If Cousin Darrell could keep the cat's attention, they would have time to get on board the glider. He pointed the nose of the airplane up, and the plane climbed steeply. Then high in the sky, he dived down toward the cat. At the very last second, Cousin Darrell pulled up out of the dive, and the plane zoomed over the big cat's outstretched paws. Actually, do you guys remember this year when we read the book Henry Shrinks, I believe, when the boy turns tiny and he's flying the plane around and the cat is trying to get him? It's just like that scene. By this time, Della and the others were climbing aboard the glider. 2 of them were clinging to the wings. There wasn't enough room for everyone in the cockpit. The cat was creeping slowly toward the tiny people in the glider. Suddenly, he ran at them. Now Cousin Darrell turned from the cat. He gunned the engine of the tiny craft and he raced away from the glider. He needed room to come in for the pickup. At the far end of the dump, he banked steeply and turned toward the ironing board. The plane came in low toward the target. The fishhook anchor trailed out below and behind. Cousin Darrell knew he would have only one chance to pick up the glider. Cousin Darrell kept one hand on the controls of the airplane. With the other hand, he reached down between his feet. He picked up a dart he had gotten from Henry Bigg's dart game. The dart was made of metal with feathers at the end. It was heavy. The tiny pilot struggled to lift it over the edge of the cockpit. At last he got into position. Cousin Darrell dropped the dart. Zing! Meow! The cat leaped into the air, clawing at its tail. The model airplane came in over the glider. The fishhook anchor hit the pickup device squarely in the middle. The glider was pulled down the ironing board runway and up into the air. "We did it!" yelled Cousin Darrell. From behind him, he heard Della's cry above the roar of the engine. Fantastic! So, that was the end of chapter 11. That was chapter 10. That was pretty exciting. So the cat was below, and Cousin Darrell went over the airplane, and he dropped the dart, It came down and got the cat right on the tail. There's chapter 11. I want to show you guys the cat one more time because that was a very exciting chapter, and you might want to draw or write about that part. That is one mean-looking cat. Okay, last chapter. We've read a lot of Lowe's books this year. It's 2 o'clock Christmas morning. The Biggs and their relatives were asleep. Near the Christmas tree in the Biggs' living room stood a dollhouse. It was a present from Mrs. Bigg to her niece Mary. At the moment, the dollhouse was the scene of a Christmas party. All the littles were gathered there. Tiny lamps lightened the room. In the living room of the dollhouse stood a toy Christmas tree. There were presents under the tree. Wrapping paper was scattered all over the floor. Near the tiny tree and lying on a miniature couch was Uncle Nick. His friends, Tip and Winky McDuss, sat near him. They were laughing. Uncle Nick was finally smiling. "Are you sure you'll be all right?" asked Uncle Pete. He spoke to Uncle Nick. "Don't worry about me, Peter," said Uncle Nick. "Enjoy the party. Then let's open some more presents." "What a wonderful idea Nick had," said Granny Little, "using the dollhouse for a party." "It's our only chance to see the dollhouse Mrs. Big made," said Mr. Little. "Her niece will be taking it home with her when she leaves." Just then Aunt Lily came in. She was carrying some of her famous fruitcake. "More goodies for the good people," she said. "The eggnog is coming right up." So this is a toy dollhouse, and it looks like that's where their Christmas party is. And they're all there. Lucy picked up a present from under the tree. "It's for you, Tom," she said, "from Uncle Nick." "Oh, wow," Tom said. "I can hardly wait to open it. Uncle Nick gives super presents." In a few moments, the boy removed the wrapping from the present. "It's Uncle Nick's sword," said Tom. He ran to Uncle Nick, who looked startled. "Is something wrong?" Uncle Nick asked Tom. "Nick, you gave Tom your sword," said Uncle Pete. "What on earth for? You'll need it." "Well, I stammered Uncle Nick. "Oh, my star," said Aunt Lily. She covered her face with her hands. "What have I done?" Everyone turned to Aunt Lily. "Tom," said Aunt Lily, "I wrapped up that present for you when your uncle thought he was going to die. Nick insisted that he wanted to leave you his sword. Now, of course, he..." Oh, Tom looked very disappointed. "And I forgot to unwrap it after he decided to go on living a little longer." Aunt Lily went on. "I'm sorry, but he's going to need it back." "That's okay," Tom said. I understand." He held out the sword to Uncle Nick. "No, Tom, no," said Uncle Nick. "I really want you to have it. I just decided. I really do." "Golly," said Tom. "Wow, this is the best present I ever had." He looked the sword over. "Nick," said Granny Little, "that was sweet." Uncle Nick laughed. "Guess what?" he said. "I just discovered it's more fun to give things away while you're still around." He smiled at everyone. "You know, it's great to be alive." "That reminds me of a song," said Cousin Darrell. He grinned as he reached for his guitar. "Oh, no," said Uncle Pete under his breath. "Darrell's going to ruin the party." Cousin Darrell loved to sing. He wrote songs about his adventures. The trouble was he had a terrible singing voice. Only Granny Little, who was hard of hearing, liked to hear Cousin Darrell sing. "Oh, good," said Granny Little. "Quiet, everyone. I want to hear every word." Cousin Darrell sat on the stool and strummed his guitar and sang. "It's great to be alive when I'm flying through the skies, thinking I might crash in a city made of trash. It's great to be alive. On other sorts of days and other kinds of ways, when I'm all alone and still, and suddenly my heart fills with, it's great to be alive. And when Christmas Day has come and everyone is here, my family and friends, may the story never end. It's great to be alive." "Wow, Darrell," said Della, "I never heard that song before. You made it up just now?" "I like it," Uncle Nick said, "especially the line, 'It's great to be alive.'" Tom tapped Uncle Pete on the shoulder. "Okay, Uncle Pete," he said, "the song is over. You can take your fingers out of your ears now." The end. Okay, guys, that was a great book. So, for Chapter 10, which is the exciting chapter in the Trash City, I'd like you to write up, draw, talk with your family what the main ideas for Chapter 10. Chapter 11 is the summary of the book. Everyone was happy. Uncle Nick was alive, and they had a great party. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.